Today, we're building a DIY Terrazzo countertop for my bathroom vanity out of broken green marble tile and white cement. This is gonna be a fun one, so let's get started on modern builds. I'm starting my project by building the mold for my Terrazzo countertop. This is going on top of the bathroom vanity that I just put a video out on. The mold is roughly 38 by 24 inches, but the finished countertop is going to be about 36 by 22. The thin strips I'm cutting are for the walls of the mold, and they're 2¼ inches high for an 1.5 thick pour. I made my cuts with the circular saw and the speed square so that this went together easily, and I made sure to pre-drill holes everywhere I'm putting screws. I'm using 1¼ trim head screws, and these do a good job of not splitting the wood as bad as thicker screws do. I'm very happy with how this mold came out, super clean. And our next step is applying a coat of paste wax so that our Terrazzo doesn't stick. I applied a generous portion of this, and I worked it into all of the corners to waterproof the mold. I buffed this out after it dried. It is now Terrazzo time. We're gonna mix up our concrete mix with a basic ratio of 3 parts aggregate, 2 parts sand, and 1 part Portland cement. For my aggregate, I'm using these broken green solid marble tiles. I broke these up with a hammer in my previous episode. I definitely should have worn more protective gear. I've got a mix of lighter green and dark green with a little white Carrara marble mixed in. I'll be using this bag of white marble landscaping chips as the filler aggregate for the concrete mix that won't be seen. I picked up this Snow White play sand on Amazon for a pretty good deal. We won't need to use much. And this ripped bag is my white Portland cement. I got this at a local chain called Builder's Supply. I want to break this aggregate up a little bit more, but I'm going to section off a few show pieces that I really like. I'll go for a random look, but I do want to place some of the larger pieces individually. Once they were separated, I used a hammer to break up my tile a little bit more so it was smaller aggregate size. Once I liked the look of it, I threw it into a 5-gallon bucket. This is the bucket that I'm going to use to portion out all my ingredients, starting with 3 buckets of our aggregate. On my 3rd bucket, I ran out of landscaping marble chips, so I added some of the green marble tile chips that I had. I'm doing 2 buckets total of the white play sand, and here you can see it compared to standard quick-reat bagged sand. And thankfully, I only needed 1 bucket from the ripped Portland cement bag. I mixed up my dry ingredients by hand before adding water to make sure they were integrated, and I used a cutting wheel on my angle grinder to cut some 1/2-inch rebar that'll go into the center of our pour. Back in the shop, I added water to our concrete mix, and I stirred it up by hand. It's a lot easier to add water slowly so you don't have to mix more concrete with pre-portioned ingredients. And whenever you load up a trowel, your concrete mix should be able to hang on there without slopping off. Now let's pour. Ugh, that's heavy. I hope there's enough. I tried distributing the concrete mix throughout the mold, but it just didn't make it. I mixed up a quick batch of extra concrete, and once I had it all stirred up, I threw it into the concrete form, and I blended that with the other concrete pour we already had in there. And this gave me just enough. Next, I'm gonna use this straight board to pack this mix in and screed it flat. With traditional rocks, it's easy to screed your concrete mix and get the aggregate to settle, but with these flat tiles, they really like to make trenches in the concrete mix. Next, I added my rebar, and my intention was to get this in the center of the concrete pour, but I did make a mistake, which you'll see later, so make sure and stay tuned. And now, the fun part. I get to add my custom mix of marble tile to the top of this pour. I'm just pouring these so that I get a true random mix, but then I'll be able to move and customize any piece I want. I was just totally winging it, but having a ton of fun seeing what came out. I'm looking at these pieces, and I honestly think this one's a little ugly, not designer worthy. Even some of these out a bit, but keep it looking random. Now I've got this big piece that I'm placing here, and a few others that are larger than my average aggregate size. And I'm gonna put a couple pieces along the front edge. Now I'm gonna tamp this down. The goal is to get all of these tile pieces seated and contacting that mix properly. I'm orienting the show face up instead of down because I eventually want to try pour in place Terrazzo kitchen countertops. And don't forget to vibrate out as many air bubbles as possible. Air bubbles are totally your enemy whenever you're doing a concrete project. You can also vibrate them out with a jigsaw or orbital sander. I removed a little excess cement and then let this cure 48 hours. Let's get this out of the mold and we'll see what it looks like. The concrete looks smooth, but I don't think I did. Whoa, it's officially carving time. I've got two different 4.5-inch angle grinder discs made for grinding concrete and stone. I used this one on my first Terrazzo test and I got great results, but I want to try this spiral one now. The only problem is it's just a tiny bit oversized to fit inside of the angle grinder guard. My quick solution was just getting a metal grinding disc on another angle grinder and using it to carve back the metal on that guard a little bit. This gave the disc just enough room.
Make sure to wear protection. Let's make Terrazzo.
On the Amazon listing for these carving discs that come together, it says that the spiral disc is a little bit more aggressive, and it wasn't lying. At first, I liked it. It was doing a good job at removing concrete fast, but unfortunately, part of the way through, I noticed some tear out.
That's not good.
I just think that this grinding wheel is a little bit too aggressive, so I swapped it out for the other one that I used in my last video doing the Terrazzo tests. It's not quite as aggressive, but that's a good thing. It does a little bit better job of staying flat without trying to run away on you without digging in as much. And periodically, I would check for flat.
Pretty good.
I noticed the slab was a little bit higher on the edges than in the center, so I worked those before going back and forth. After about 15 minutes of carving, things were looking pretty flat. Let's get some dust out of the way. This is pretty flat. I just want to bring it all down another 1/16 of an inch. I wanted to carve this countertop blank down a little bit further, that way the negative spaces I created with the first grinding wheel wouldn't be as exaggerated. This did help that, but it did hurt in its own way. You'll see in just a second. Initial grinding complete, but I do have a little bit of bad news. I revealed a little bit of rebar while grinding. That's not awesome, but I've got a plan to fix it during the slurry coat. The negative spaces over here that kind of chipped away on me are also gonna get fixed during that slurry coat. But I can certainly say I like this grinding wheel a lot more than the spiral one that I used first. So now our goal is to get rid of all these scratches. And to do that, I'll use diamond polishing pads. These 4-inch discs start at 50 grit and go all the way up to 6,000. And they attach onto the Velcro backer easily. This set costs about $25 on Amazon, and it says you can use the 50, 100, and 200 grit dry. All of the higher grit pads need to be wet sanded so that they don't build up too much heat.
Everything's way more smooth now, especially the concrete. We've still got a few scratches in the marble tile sections, and I'm hoping we'll work those out as we go to 100 grit next.
I tried my best to work back and forth like a CNC machine. By doing this, I could feel any high spots or low spots, and if there were any small spots I needed to focus on, I could do that, like the big marble stone.
A lot of these scratches have cleared up, still not perfect, but let's switch to 200 grit. This is the last one we'll do before our slurry coat.
I got some more fine scratches out, but you'll have to watch later in the video to see how I got these deep scratches out perfectly. I had to order a grinding wheel overnight. You'll see it. Speaking of grinding wheels, I used a metal abrasive wheel to grind back the rebar that was exposed so we can fix it. I'm gonna throw on a little bit of water so that we can see how this is gonna look once it's got finished. It's also gonna help the slurry coat. This looks awesome. The first slurry coat I did is equal parts sand and Portland cement. I wanted to blend the two together, that way the patchwork would be a little more incognito. I mixed it up to pancake batter and I spread it across the wet slab. In hindsight, I should have really worked it in by hand. Instead of going back to my 200 grit polishing pad, I'm going to be using this cutting and grinding disc that I'm hoping is aggressive enough to remove the fine scratches that are still left from this first, more aggressive grinding wheel that we used. Even though we just put down a slurry coat, I'm more worried about the scratches than having a perfect result out of this slurry. If we lose a little bit of it because this is an aggressive disc, that's fine. Right now our concrete is like we sanded wood from 80 grit to 220, and I'm looking for a 150 out of this disc. So this blade is awesome. The face here that grinds is a little bit finer than the first wheel we used, and I've gotten all of those deep scratches out that I couldn't remove with the 50 and 100 grit on these diamond pads. The old rebar showing is covered, and we've backfilled a lot of negative spaces. Our next big step is moving outside and wet sanding this. Welcome to my station. It's a little windy today. I've got the garden hose rigged up to spray on the slab, and I just threw on a new 5-inch buffer pad from Harbor Freight to replace this 4-inch one because it separated here. I epoxied it once, but this should be better. I learned in my last Terrazzo video that starting with 200 grit on the wet sand is the move. The lower grits will pull away the slurry coat. I was happy that starting with 200 grit was still aggressive enough that it removed any of the fine scratches left by the previous grinding disc we just used. Just like earlier, I went in back and forth robotic motions. After 200 grit, I used the 400 grit pad and did the same. Now, before my comments get lit up, I know it's not exactly proper to use an angle grinder with a garden hose to wet sand, but I'm rubber gloved up, and I honestly don't care if I ruin this Harbor Freight angle grinder. It only costs 15 bucks, and I've got a couple backups.
I unfortunately had slurry coat removed right here in the worst spot, along with another big chunk right here. So I'm doing a coat on the whole thing. Let's hope this fixes it.
This time I made sure to work in the slurry coat by hand aggressively. I think using the putty knife on the first slurry coat was the reason that it didn't work as well. This was a mixture of 3/4 Portland, 25% sand, and now I'm mixing up a second batch that's 100% Portland slurry. This will backfill any of the remaining negative spaces, even though the majority just got fixed. And this just needs a couple hours to cure before sanding. Last time I wet sanded, I got soaking wet, so I masked myself off. Cool. I want to sand this slurry coat back with the highest possible grit, so I'm starting with 6,000. If this works, awesome. If not, I'll progressively go to a lower grit. The 6,000 grit pad did remove the Portland slurry coat, but it was just a little less aggressive than I wanted. I went back to the 800 grit pad and then worked my way back up to 6,000. This is amazing. We have virtually no negative spaces left, and I individually backfilled any remaining voids. I am so happy. I want to use the same angle grinder to trim my ends square, but I don't want to do it freehand because I don't trust myself to get a good 90-degree edge. So what I did was build a fence out of some 3/4 inch plywood that my angle grinder can reference. I did this cut in multiple passes and I got surprisingly clean results. It's cool how this blade both cuts and polishes. I cut my 2 show side square and sanded up to 6,000 grit. Now it's time to apply finish. But first, I want to give a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. Your one-stop shop to build your own website or online store. And that's never been easier with Squarespace's design intelligence and Blueprint AI, their next generation AI-enhanced website builder. And Squarespace sites have tons of awesome features like SEO integration. They do all the complicated back-end work to make sure you show up more often on search results. And with Squarespace Invoices, you can get paid faster and impress clients with on-brand invoices and streamline your workflow from proposals to contracts, invoices, and seamless online payments all in one place. And with Squarespace email campaigns, you've got all the tools you need to engage your clients, promote your services, and build your business built in. So to learn more, make sure and follow my link down in the description. That's squarespace.com/modernbuilds. But then when it's time to make your site live, don't forget to use my code ModernBuilds for 10% off your first site, store, or domain through Squarespace. As always, huge thanks to Squarespace for the long-time support here on Modern Builds, and you all for watching. The finish I'm applying is called Glaze and Seal. It's a classic and it's a medium gloss finish. It helps both stain and waterproof the concrete. And now let's check out this Terrazzo countertop now that the finish is cured. Check it out now. I absolutely love this design and it was so much fun to make. The green color in this marble is so unique and pairs perfectly with the white concrete. On my first Terrazzo test, I struggled. I had scratches in the marble that I just couldn't sand away. But Terrazzo number 2 has 0 of those scratches. That new cutting and carving disc was key. I'll be honest though, I like the look of the standard sand instead of the snow white sand. It's just a little more texture and looks nice. And it looks like I got a discolored marble chip in that landscaping bag. I might have to come back with a Dremel and slurry over this. I'm gonna trim these 2 remaining edges to match the walls, and that's all gonna be in the full bathroom renovation video, along with drilling holes for the basin, sink, and faucet. Video links are on the screen. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you soon on Modern Builds. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. 3, 2, 1. Whoa, almost smacked my face. Here we go, try again.